Guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a really interesting video. I've had a comment from a viewer, mentioning about AI taking away a lot of the jobs, and of course that's a concern wherever you go. But what does it mean in particular for the Philippines? Is it going to hurt the economy so bad it's going to affect your retirement plans? Are you going to think differently about investing there? Are you going to think differently about staying there long term? Are you going to think about going to a different country? Because it is pretty significant, and I want to tackle into that and go over some pretty cool and amazing statistics. We're going to look at some of the both scenarios, the negative side, but there is some positive as well with this that I want to touch base on it. So I'm going to give you a little bit of contents. I've been going back and forth now to the Philippines for 8 years. It gives me a really good concept of how prices are changing, especially when I come back. I go half and half. I spend a half a year there and a half a year back in Canada. So, and I keep, for me personally, I've chosen the Philippines for many reasons, but that's on the different videos. I like to plan ahead. I like to have a security. So I think about a lot of things. I think about how the visas are going to be. Of course, I'm on a budget. I check out always my budget planning and how can it be effective for long term. These videos are basically based on that for you guys that are looking for long term and budget friendly. I recommend watching my videos, one of my videos on the budget thing if you're interested in that. So in any case, this is what I focus on. So this AI thing regarding, is it going to cripple the Philippines? How drastic is it? How many jobs are going to be lost? So if you look at the statistics, there is something like 1.3 to 1.8 million people employed in the Philippines, and I'm not even counting for now abroad. Many Filipinos work abroad, and call centers as well. And call centers is going to be the first thing that's going to get hit one of the hardest things over the next few years. So running those statistics, I did a quick little search on it. They actually anticipate it going up to 3 million employees over the next few years, in the next 3 to 5 years, which I find very interesting because on the one hand they're saying that, but also on the other hand AI is going to be drastically reducing. I do believe it's inevitable. I just think also in the beginning they are correct. It's going to be a lot of retraining. The AI is going to take the mundane stuff away, like hello, welcome, what department do you need? That'll probably be all AI run instead of a human run, and then they can upgrade their training. But at the end of the day, how much are we going to lose if this industry starts to disappear? If you look at GDP growth, I got to, just because I don't want to misquote nothing, GDP growth is 7 to 9% on that industry, which is pretty huge. So yeah, it can be devastating. It can be a hard hit, and especially if less money is going to be sent into the country, that's a huge one as well. But how does this affect you? Does it change your game plan? Is it good? I always look at it safety issues. I think if a country becomes too unstable financially, the risk of personal safety, of course, increases. That's just common sense. Do I feel that's going to happen in the Philippines? Hey, I don't got the magic answer for that in that regard. I think if we're talking specifically AI taking away jobs, this is going to be across the board, across the world. It's going to be simultaneously everywhere. It's probably going to hit the developing countries harder simply because the developed countries will have social net safety programs a lot more available than any developing country. That's just the bottom line. So on that aspect, it's going to be a harder hit. Positive side though, this is where it gets kind of interesting. And by the way, guys, if you have a comment or an opinion, a suggestion on this where it's affected you, leave that in. I like to engage with this and learn something. Quite often I learn some interesting facts from my viewers that share these comments, and I enjoy replying and engaging. So I like to hear from you guys. So let's look at GDP growth for tourism, okay? And again, I don't want to misquote that. So right now, for this is late 2023, 24, it was 8.9% for GDP growth on tourism, okay? Now, an interesting fact is, and this is where I find it very interesting, because I see a lot of videos, lately, and I haven't really watched them. I just see the headline: tourism is down, Philippines is crashing. That, why go there? People are going everywhere else. Especially now, there's a lot of talk about you can't vlog there and all this kind of stuff. That's a whole different issue. I don't quite understand that, because their projection on this right now for the year 2025, the end that we're now, so they can't really fully analyze that until it's over with. They're expecting up to 21% of their GDP growth in just tourism. Now, if you look at the employment statistics, like I said earlier, call centers, this is one of the biggest ones that are going to get affected around the world. Is going to be affected by AI. Now, another interesting fact about it, I'm just doing call centers right now. The same technology that is used to replace those jobs will actually replace many, many, many more. Data entry, account, and all sorts of things. And that's crazy, the numbers. I've researched on that one. But for work, so okay, that's direct. It's directly employed. So let's go as high as 1.8 million that are currently employed in the Philippines as call center workers. Okay. However, for tourism, again, last year it's 6.7 million directly and indirectly are hired for tourism. That's a huge jump, and they're predicting it's going to jump up to 11.7 million on tourism. Now, the reason why I'm bringing all this up is I think the Philippines, or any developing country, is going to be in a good position to look at where their GDP growth comes from. And now they are, apparently, some of the research I've done, they are focusing and spending money on retraining, because the call center is a huge revenue for their GDP growth. They're not going to let that slip, and they're going to be able to hang on to it as long as they can. This particular issue is going to hit everybody across the board, so it's going to be an interesting fact to see how that's all going to play out. I don't think it's in the short term. I think it's going to be slowly, and I do believe the scenario where a lot's going to get retrained initially. Having said that, it makes no sense to me that it's going to be indefinite. At some point in time, every job is going to be replaced. That's just my thinking. I don't think I'm going to live long enough to see that, but that's where I'm at on my thought. But if they realize the whole shift is happening, everybody is going to have to realize this. They're going to have safety nets, social safety nets, basically. And like I said earlier, developing countries are not in a position to pay everybody a UBI or something like that. And if it is, it's going to be minimal. I just can't see that being rolled out, where the funds are going to come from. So I really think on the positive side, like I said earlier, there's a positive side. If this is going to be a drastic decline, they're going to have to focus on what brings in the cash. And that could be a great thing for tourism. That they could really encourage tourism, because they may just pretty much almost be forced into it. And I think many countries are going to start noticing that if they open up their borders a lot more, and encourage tourism, and having a lot of quality tourism coming in. I'm not saying that they want to let in all the bad apples, but I think what's going to happen is if they focus on rejuvenating and really promoting tourism, that could be a savior, and a lot of these jobs are going to end up like a digital nomad. A lot of things are going to be a lot more remote. So it's a shift in dynamics across the globe. And I think in that aspect, I think we're going to be totally fine. So I'm not really in the camp of being extremely negative. I think there's going to be a dystopia for a while with AI. And again, I would like your guys' feedback, where you guys are sitting with this, especially if you have some kind of data facts or whatever, where it's affected you already, or something like that. I would really like to hear from you. But overall, I don't think it's going to be devastating for the Philippines in the tourism sector, because they're not gonna want to do both. If crime starts getting out of hand, and I mean that's gonna be no matter where it is. If you have a very poor economic country, I think they're gonna get a handle of that. Just simply like I feel very safe when I'm in the Philippines. I truly do. I don't look for trouble, and I just don't find it. Having said that, I mean, no matter where you go, you got to have common sense and be self-aware, right? But I don't see it being the end of the world, devastating. I really think that it could actually turn out to be positive. There's a few things I'm keeping my eye on right now as well. The market for condos and all this kind of stuff. I've got a separate video on that as well, an upcoming video, or maybe I'm not too sure when it's posted. I've already done the video. Is it worth buying and so on and so forth. I myself have looked at it. I'm interested now because a Chinese Pogo, I think it's called, gambling thing was told to move out. That's supposed to really be an influence on how many empty vacant apartments are going to be there and stuff like that. A lot of stuff is overhyped as far as I'm concerned. Fear sells, so I'm not too sure it's all going to pan out. But anyway, guys, these are all things I keep my eye open. I do look for long-term ideas and opportunities there. I myself, I'm still very focused on the Philippines. I go back and forth. I see a lot of positive potential. The culture's fantastic. The language is great. The visa options are fantastic. There's a lot of things that I think are a huge draw, and will continue to do so. And it is developing. This is the whole thing. It's not a third world country. It's a developing country, and as they develop more, they're going to get more and more modernized. There's going to be a lot more upcoming things, and I think it's fantastic. And again, guys, I just want to hear your opinions and thoughts on that. I just thought I'd touch base on it, and go from there. Everybody have a great day and take care, and thanks for tuning in.